Hi, Tracy.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. I'm just blessed that I met you through Threads. You're my first Threads friend. I had lost my father to pancreatic cancer. One of my best friends drowned, carrying my shame around like a backpack with heavy rocks in it. Life is hard. Being human is hard. My purpose is to really bring hope to the world. I didn't know my grandparents because my dad wouldn't let her introduce us to our grandparents.
I'm in my element, I'm in my game, I get promotion. Same guy, 3 months later, fires me. Recession happens, you lose your job, you were angry. You then had a...
Have you ever wondered what happens when someone spends years looking okay on the outside while carrying chaos, grief, guilt, shame, and survival on the inside? In this episode, I had a conversation with Tracy Imm. She's an executive coach, a change management expert, a writer, and one of Maryland's top 100 women recognized for her professional accomplishments, mentorship, community impact, and so many more things. I took this episode centered around Tracy's book, Conquer Shame Plus Claim Success, and we talked about family conflict, grief, emotional survival, and what does it really take for one to heal without losing themselves in the process. So if you too are navigating through difficult family dynamics such as divorce or separation, burnout due to work, loss, or simply trying to reconnect with yourself in the world that's constantly demanding more from you, this episode is for you. I hope you gain as much as I did from this episode.
But thank you for sending me the book that you wrote, 2 books that you wrote. And this one, especially it caught my heart, it caught my attention, and I want to get into this one a little bit.
Love it.
Yeah? Okay. So, I don't know if I told you, but I read it twice.
I know. That's what you told me.
Funny thing was, I had 2 feelings when I read it once, and then I read it twice, right? So the first time I read it, I said, what a brave woman. Right?
Really?
That's what came to my heart.
That was your takeaway?
It was beat. I was beating. Second time I read, what came out from me was, this woman has just so much of faith.
Yes.
All right?
I do.
So,
I do.
A little bit after you've written this book, now in your wisdom, where you are today, where do you see yourself associated more with? Is it that you're a brave woman or you're a woman with so much of faith?
So I think when I wrote this book, I was in the thick of grief. And I was in the thick of carrying my shame around like a backpack with heavy rocks in it. I think where I am today is a much different place. I'm rooted and grounded in my faith, in my spirituality, in my belief in a higher power. But it was through writing this book that I got even stronger, even more grounded in that, because that's what carried me through my grief, my period of deep, deep grief. I had lost my father to pancreatic cancer. One of my best friends drowned. And it was just, I had been fired from a job. There was just so much at the low point. And I feel like my purpose is to really bring hope to the world and to shine my light. Life is hard. Being human is hard. But when you're in that depth of grief or depression, it's hard to see the light. And it's hard to believe that there is light. And I feel like an affinity for Oprah in that she always asks the question, what is this here to teach me? And that really has inspired me as I go through the valleys and the highs and the lows, right? Because I've had some I've had an epic career. I've had some epic experiences globally. That when I talk to people about it, it was just me going to work. And then I realize now, looking back as I'm getting closer to sort of the next phase of my life, that it was all part of the grand design.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. I was meant to go through these things. I was meant to take the lesson and to come up above the water and to speak, right? Because when I was writing this book, I was really focused on my throat chakra, which is, your voice, right? And I felt like everything was stuck. And so I couldn't verbalize what I was experiencing, but I could write.
Oh,
And so I
felt
took
it.
to the pen and, that, and I kind of said to myself, if I never publish this book, it's okay because I'm healing my throat chakra.
Oh, I felt it through and through when you were writing the last chapter, when you were talking about, your final days with Dad,
Yes.
and how you dealt with it. What you were the one who had to share the news. It gave me goosebumps. Again, that's when my first
Yes.
feeling was, what a brave woman, right? Not only did you experience it, but you, in the moment, wrote the book. It still gives me jitters because it's like it's the most difficult thing to do.
Oh, it was heartbreaking. It was heart-wrenching to be the one to tell my dad he had pancreatic cancer.
Right.
It was heartbreaking.
Right. Ugh.
And he just looked at me and he said, I know.
Yeah.
Like he knew.
He knew in his being.
He did.
Yeah.
And it just made him sad.
Yeah.
Because he was so full of life.
Yeah.
And he wanted to live. And getting kind of teared up. But, and I had a very difficult growing up relationship with him.
Right. Right. And then you do share that in the book. It was complicated.
It was very complicated. And it's interesting because even fast forward since he has passed, I've learned a lot more about his family, his mother's family, and the prevalence of mental health issues.
Right.
Untreated, bipolar, schizophrenia. And so it explains now to me the sort of the lineage that he came from, right? And it was all, repress any kind of signs of, any kind of mental health struggles, right? And or addiction. There was, and in meeting some of my cousins that I didn't even know were my cousins, I feel like I'm here to break the generational curse. I really do.
Yeah.
And I feel like through my writing, that is part of my work. But I've only recently realized that through this other crazy story where we were served papers. I don't even think I've told you this. We were served papers on my dad's estate. So I am the fourth generation Cameron family. And the Cameron family were very wealthy landowners. They owned 200 some acres in northern Baltimore County. They were very prominent, but they also had a family full of addicts, alcoholics, bipolar, schizophrenic. And so I am now the fourth generation trying to resolve the title to this 200 acres.
So a lot of it, what you're now digging is like, it explains what he did. It
Yes.
explains why he did.
Yes.
And you said in the book also is that not your parents, issues don't have to be yours, right?
Yes.
So of course, I know that you have the wisdom and you're doing your research and everything. Oh, I'm sorry, you're tearing up.
It's okay. It's it's tender.
It is. It's such an emotional subject. Now, you said that your parents' mistakes or troubles don't have to be yours, and I chuckled a minute there because I was like, I'm probably messing up my kids in my own way. My parents messed me up in my own way. You did too, and then somehow you got a hold of yourself.
I did.
And you grew.
I did.
Okay. So tell me when you got a hold of yourself. So minus in this question, I want to minus everything that happened in the past, but then at the moment when you got a hold of yourself, walk me through that phase.
Yeah. So, I was in a lot of therapy trying to deal with just all of the things, right? And I don't know if it was a therapist that said that to me or if I read it in a book, because I was seeking. I'm a seeker, right? And if I don't know the answer to something, I'm going to go find out. I'm going to read
Ancestry.com, you
books.
did, yes.
I'm a seeker, right?
Yes.
I am seek, right? I love to research. I love to fact find. And so when in my younger days, I was always seeking answers from other people. And I mean, I've kind of gotten to the point now where it's like we have all the answers inside of us, right? But it took me a long time to get there. And so through my seeking, I think is when I was like, well, wait a second. I didn't create their problems. I just, experienced the impact of like the issues and the decisions that they had made. I'm my own person and I don't have to take that on. I don't need that rock in my backpack is what I kind of realized. And I realized that that was only hurting me and I wasn't able to learn and grow and develop and become a better person. And it's interesting because many of my friends have gone through divorces and I always say, make it easy on your children. Whatever your issues are with each other, don't do the things that my parents did. Just they didn't have the capability or the capacity to be mindful of the impacts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was to the point where, we would have, say my sister had a son and a daughter and they'd have a birthday party. Well, my sister and I would be in terror that we had this birthday party because they would both be there. And it was like, who's going to take mom? Who's going to take dad? Who's going to keep them separate? Is there going to be an explosion, an inappropriate moment in this, what should be a really about the child and their birthday. And, that all kind of ended when my dad passed.
What would you say to them that you wish somebody had said that to you when you were going through this? Now it's you, not the parents.
To quote Mel Robbins, let them.
Let them.
But see, my sister and I were so terrified because we had seen the chaos growing up and the domestic violence, abuse, whatever you want to call it. We just didn't want to experience that for her children or for, say, like my in-laws or, those types. It's like we didn't want them to see that because we were embarrassed because we knew how they would behave. But I think I wish I would have been a little bit stronger to just be like, that's about them. It's not about me. I'm here to enjoy the moment. But I could never give myself permission to enjoy the moment.
Yeah. But so somebody going through it now, would they be able to give themselves permission?
I think it takes a really strong person.
Yeah.
I think it takes a really strong person. And I think you have to have that belief that their issues are not your issues. And that especially as you get older, in high school and college and stuff like that, like you're growing into adulthood.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're almost like a peer to your parent as an adult, right? You're not that child anymore. And so I'm not saying I'm an expert in any stretch of the imagination, but through my lived experience, I would say that acknowledge that you're in that situation, right?
Okay.
And have that awareness of that, and then just set your intentions of how you want to show up. Because you can't set their intentions, you can't make decisions for them. It's like, what are your intentions? And there were times I opted out of family events because it was too stressful. It's too stressful. I'm like, I'll give your child a graduation present, but I just can't put myself through it. I can't put myself in that environment, which is really hard because you want to be there for this other person's special celebratory moment, graduation, engagements, weddings, all the things, right? And that's what I've said to my friends as they go through this. I'm like, every single time there is a milestone for someone in the core family unit, that is a flashpoint.
Yeah. Yeah.
And behave yourself in the flashpoint.
Yes.
Because
it is,
put your
right?
differences aside. And I've had so many of my friends come back to me and say, thank you so much for telling me. Because it isn't about me. It's about my child. It's about my, their happy moment.
So it's in that moment. It's the moment that matters, and yet we're ashamed, the embarrassment, to the metaphor of taking rocks. You pile them on in your backpack, and then it becomes so heavy that you're like leaning backwards, and you're not almost able to sort of enjoy what's in front of you.
You can't move forward. You can't.
In that, I wanna read this because it did do something for me. So my pain was hard to escape, but I did not share with even my closest friends what I was experiencing. I was ashamed and embarrassed. Did you know at that time that you were feeling ashamed and embarrassed, or did you just kind of sum it up and, sometimes people say, I'm just sad. Or
No, I
knew
was,
that?
I knew that I was embarrassed. I knew that I was ashamed. In fact, I went to an event probably about 2 months ago. And one of the people that was there was someone that I grew up with. I went to elementary school, middle school, high school, college, graduate school,
Oh, wow.
Yes, I had known
Oh,
this
bless
person
you.
since third grade, and he was like a brother to me.
Yeah.
And he now knows, and he said, Tracy, I had no idea. I said, I know. I didn't want you to know.
Oh, wow. That's pressure.
Yeah.
Oh,
He said, I
wow.
had no idea. He goes, I wish I could have been there for you.
Yeah.
And I said, I couldn't bring myself to tell you.
Yeah.
It's like I was like, happy smiley,
Happy
everything's
smiling,
good.
yeah.
Here's my mask. It was like a
Yeah.
mask.
Yeah.
It was definitely a mask. But no, I definitely felt the embarrassment and shame because again, I grew up in a very small town.
Right. And you
Very
said
small
that
town.
right. And yeah.
Like everybody knew everybody. And if you were Catholic or Jewish or Presbyterian, you knew which church they went to or synagogue. You knew all the brothers and sisters. You knew the parents and where they worked. We played sports. So then it was, they were on my soccer team or their dad was my basketball coach. So
Right.
it was a tight knit community. And looking back on it now, I'm like, I'm sure there was other families having problems. I just didn't have the awareness because I was so in
yours. Yeah. Actually, so I wanted to take it back, right? Now, okay, granted, it was a close-knit community. Granted, the time was different. That era was different. But today, I know personally know a lot of people, my clients, right? They're now talking about those issues because we're in a conversation. They don't really get up there and say, hey, they don't raise their hand. They don't share that until it becomes so much that they kind of have to now, sort of throw up because it's not going to, they can't bottle it down anymore. What do you have to say to today's generation? They still do the same thing that you did. So feeling ashamed and embarrassed then is exactly the same feeling today.
It's the same emotion.
But the social media, the awareness, the education around it is so widely available. And yet human behavior has not seemed to change a ton.
It hasn't. And I do think that, and any good coach, like you're a great coach, I'm sure, will pull that out of you through the inquiry as you're coaching them, right? And you're trying to be mindful of not triggering someone, but I know that many of my clients will have aha moments.
Yep.
In fact, I was talking to somebody the other day, and he was, we were having this dialogue in this coaching session, and we were talking about the season of life that he's in and what his, desires are and things of that nature. And then what I have found is people are more accepting of coaching than they were back then. Like it wasn't a thing back then, right? So
it just wasn't.
I do think that people are more likely to come in through the coaching door. And what I have found, I don't know if this has happened to you, but I have found that probably 80% of the people that I coach end up going into therapy. And they start working with someone who's a trained psychologist, social worker, really digging at the deep roots, so they might uncover it in coaching, but then they'll end up...
Now they know what to work on.
Now they're doing both, right? And now they're really, really maximizing their human potential.
Fair. Yeah.
And so that is what I have experienced, I would say, over the last 10 years working with different people is that the ones who really want to become the best human and serve humanity and give back and be really strong leaders in their community and their work and their family, all the things, they will make the effort and they will invest in themselves. And so that's my big thing that, like I did this TED Talks last night. And my final parting word is, please invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Find mentors, find coaches, seek wisdom from other people. Like the wisdom is inside of yourself, but learn from other people's stories.
Yeah.
Right?
Their experience.
And their experiences.
What about the population of people that was you, right? Mm-hmm. You did stuff it down. The person who's almost like a brother to you didn't know what was going on for so many years. Mm-hmm. What do you say to that population?
at that point in time, I was, younger. I think that the world is very different with social media today,
Okay.
right? And there was a lot of talk last night at the TEDx talk about that, and the addictive nature and the dopamine hits that these kids get, and not even really being able to discern what's fact and fiction and AI and,
I know, right?
those types of things. So I do think that you have to be brave, and you have to not keep stuffing it down.
No.
Because I do feel like that is only gonna, like, I feel like I'm living my life is like beyond my wildest dreams, because I am now free. I am free. I recognize that my pain and suffering didn't need to exist. Right. Yes, I went through traumatic situations and, big T, little t, whatever you want to call it. However, as my book says, you can conquer it, and you can grab that brass ring and claim success, whatever that means to you, right? Like, we're told that we're supposed to do certain things. I don't even know what that means, right?
Right.
It's up to you to define what you really want in this lifetime. And, kind of one of the other chapters I think I opened the book with is my story when I was 12 and I was in this, skiing accident. And I was given a talk to a women's leadership group about a month ago. And I said, in that moment, I had a spiritual awakening at 12 years old, where I almost died, right?
Yeah.
And that changed the trajectory of my mindset. I was already a spiritual kid. I always loved to go to church with my grandmother. I loved to read the Bible. I loved to go to Bible class. As a kid, I really believed in all the stories around my religion, as a Protestant. And, but I just remember sitting in my, I had my neck brace on, and I'm in 6th grade, and I was like, I almost died.
Yeah, you said it hit you that
did.
you'd escaped death.
I did.
And you said, I totally dodged a bullet.
I did.
And when I was reading it, that's exactly what I felt. I was like, you had so much of faith at the age of 12.
I did.
And then upbringing in a belief-centered environment
Very much so.
had a lot to do with how you dealt with it.
Yes.
And I think had a lot to do with when you took that trip to was it London, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I think the belief was still very much there.
It was.
Yes. At one point I thought maybe you're escaping, but then I realized as the story
probably
went
was.
on, you
I probably
was.
were.
Okay.
Yeah, I probably was.
Because then as the story went on, and as your experiences almost like grew, and then the whole thing about addiction and your first exposure to it, my God, was it again that you say in the towards the end, you say, what's the word? You use the season changing, you call it divine intervention.
Yes.
Right? So you had the faith.
I did.
You were brave. And then you let the sort of like, you let the higher power guide you. And you were in a flow state. The entire time you went through different traumas, what I felt every time was a flow state.
Very much so.
Talk to me a little bit about how can one be in, and I ask this because in today's world, when job market is the way it is, people are coming back to them and saying, look, I've studied all my life. I'm done trying. This whole AI thing is now just racking my brain. I can't do this anymore. I can't be the caterpillar again to become a butterfly. I just don't have it in me anymore.
Mm-hmm. I hear that all the
time. But then
too.
your story, with so many, like you said, big T's, small T's, all of this. Tell me how you maintained a flow state. What is the recipe?
I am a meditator. Mm-hmm. I think that stillness has to be part of your practice every single day. And that you need to, make the time, even if it's 5 minutes, to do some kind of meditation. I feel like that gives me superpowers. I just, my phone is off. I am, in stillness with myself. And that is when I get, I feel like there's a channel through the top of my head that comes down through my body, and I can hear what Source is telling me.
What are they telling you?
So a lot of times it just depends on like what's going on in my life at that moment. But when I allow myself to do that, I get instructions. And if I'm right now, I'm struggling with a specific decision in my life. And I was at the beach Monday, and I took my shoes off and I stood in the sand to get myself grounded to the earth. And I looked at the ocean and I closed my eyes and I was like, what am I supposed to know? And I got completely silent and still. And I heard, it's time. As clear as day. It's time. But if you don't take the time to be still, you don't hear the whispers. And there's all these whispers that the divine is trying to send to you. And so I'm so grateful that I found this practice and that I am able to get direction, guidance, wisdom, answers that are kind of swirling inside of me. But when I get still, it does really come to me. And that happened to me when I was a kid. So it's been going on my whole life. But I've had times in my life where I did not get still. I kept running, or drinking. And I don't drink today, and I haven't drank in a really long time. And I feel like that is all, again, I'm trying to break this generational curse, right? And that is my place in this Cameron world that I came into. Right. Yeah. And I have, I'm a huge advocate for mental health, and the other thing that makes me really sad is the number of teens and college age students committing suicide. And struggling with their mental health issues when it's driven, I think the root cause is the social media. And they're not...
It's painful, isn't it?
It's painful to watch and experience. I've been a college professor. I've had 2 or 3 students die. Either they drank themselves to death or they committed suicide, and they were such bright lights. And so... the more people can talk about it and normalize it, that it's okay if you're experiencing issues to get help, I think the better off we're all going to be.
Fair enough. Absolutely. Oh, it's such a heavy thing to just kind of have a child go through it.
Yes.
I have one more thing that I wanted to pick on. As, we're talking about you were a young adult when the separation happened. 18, was it?
Yes.
Yeah. And when your mom had told you, yes, you had concerns, you had questions of why, but then you almost reconciled with it as well to say, yeah, I get why. I understand.
I did.
So you did. But then at some point you made a note, you're saying, I'm going to take time finding my husband. I'm going to work through, to be a good wife, to be a good partner. I would work through our rough patches and stay married.
I've been married now 38 years. Well, I've been with my partner about 38 years.
Yeah.
And
So
I did.
when
I took my time.
Yeah.
I figured out exactly what I did want.
Yeah.
And he is all of it.
For your mom, what was going on in your mind? Did you feel that she did the wrong thing, or did you not agree with her decision?
So, over time, it's funny because my sister and I talk about this all the time. My sister was only 17. She was still a senior in high school. And I think it impacted her in a different way than it did me because I was away at school. Yeah. Right. I think my sister had a lot of resentment that she couldn't stay another 6 months till my sister graduated. Right. I didn't have that issue. I knew it was bad. I also came to the realization that she just didn't have it in her. She wasn't strong enough. She was too beaten down. She was too, it was survival for her. It really was survival for her. And, she went on to marry somebody else. She had a wonderful life. Now she's in a retirement home, has a little boyfriend. She always needs to have somebody with her. And also the circumstances, and I don't think I talked about this in the book. My mom and dad were both teachers. They met at a teacher's party. And then here I am, right? They didn't really know each other. They didn't date very long. My mom got pregnant, and then I came out. And then right after me, she got pregnant again with my sister. And so she felt like the right thing to do was to stay married and raise her daughters. Yeah. The first 5 years, I didn't know my grandparents because my dad wouldn't let her introduced us to our grandparents. So that was really hurtful to my grandparents. And then even it makes me sad now, but had a great relationship with my grandparents after, when I turned 5 and I started to know that I had another set of grandparents. But I think, everybody has a certain level of capacity
to take in,
to do different things. And like, even when I hear people get upset with, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a cousin, a sister, a brother. And in fact, I was talking to one of my coaching clients yesterday and I said, I don't think your brother has the capacity. Her brother's on the spectrum, but like he says inappropriate things and hurts her feelings. And I said, let's just start with the fact that he's on the spectrum and like you expect him to speak like he's not on the spectrum. And so let's just start there. So I'm sorry he hurt your feelings, but that wasn't his intent. I just don't think he has the capacity.
Yeah.
Right. And so you do have to kind of, put yourself in the other person's shoes. Like what is their makeup and their composition?
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And even like with bosses
and
work. And
I'm going to get to that. That's a big part of your story in the book too, is that, how recession of 2008, 7 and then 8 and then 9.
Yes.
There's a lot to unpack here. Now, so for my listeners, right, because they didn't read the book, I did.
Twice.
It's a badge of honor. No. When you went through the first layoff, you were at the top of your game.
I was.
You were rocking it. You were the VP.
I was killing it.
You were killing it. You were there.
That
right?
was like the brass ring I had aspired to from the time I was 27.
Correct. So now you had it. Now it's yours to sort of,
flying on the corporate jet,
bask into it. Ooh, love
meeting
it.
at the Pentagon, doing White House briefings, all
so you
the
were
things.
There. And then it just sort of comes down. Recession happens. You lose your job. You were angry at the time. You were furious. You then had a few other episodes of a similar kind because the market was such at that point. It just wasn't a stable market.
And it's kind of that way now.
And we're exactly
in the same moment, I feel.
Yeah, funny you said that. Last year it happened to me.